Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited that you're here today. We have an incredible guest for us today. I want to welcome you to the Art of Healthy Retirement. And this is a podcast that is a passion project for myself. And the podcast goal is to support business experts who are transforming from career to healthy retirement, or perhaps they are business experts who have retired. And the format is about 30 minutes. And we focus on our guests and how they're living or will be living in their ideal retirement with health. And that's the real key driver. And no interview is the same, and that's the joy of the discussion. And we really want to disrupt the way you think about healthy retirement in real time. Each podcast is educational in content and inspiring with stories and ideas by showcasing our guests who are living life on their own terms. So I want to welcome Carol Teten, who I've known and who I've had such admiration for. I know her in many different avenues of her life. And we're so excited that you're here, Carol. Thank you so much for gracing this podcast with your presence today. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So I know that you have had many different types of careers, and I'd love for you to talk about how you lived your life in a career and what you did. And then how did you find that action, or perhaps it was steps that you took to take yourself into retirement? So from where you were, really, Carol has had amazing careers, which she will tell you about. And then how did you move yourself to where you are now?
I morphed from one thing to the next. So I started, dance has been the center of my life, I would say, other than, family. And when I finished college, I wanted to chair a dance department. That was my goal in life. So I first taught at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. I ended up in Israel for a total of 5 years. Then I went on to get a master's, because you need a master's to teach at a college. And eventually I got my master's at UCLA, because I didn't know that part of the world, and I thought it would be wonderful. And I met a husband who came from Europe. It was totally not what I expected. And eventually I did get a job chairing a dance department, actually in Northern California, where I brought up a family. And I had that job chairing the dance department, the goal of my life, in my 30s. And after 2 or 3 years, I hated it. Completely uncreative. It was like, this is what you wanted to do. Yeah.
Dear.
And in the meantime, I had fallen in love with dance history, meaning that I got very, very curious about where dance comes from. And having researched this and that and that and this, I realized it comes out of a cultural heritage. And then I began to research dance history, the dancing of dance history. I was never interested in learning that, so-and-so did 16 pirouettes and so-and-so jumped as high as whatever. I wanted to see the dance that had been. So then I found these manuscripts, these Renaissance manuscripts written in Old Italian that nobody except Renaissance monks can decipher. It's just brilliant.
Wow.
I found a friend who taught me how to read it. And I went from that bit of mud into Baroque manuscripts, which are beautiful notation, Baroque notation. It's impossible to read, but it's so beautiful. And I was totally fascinated with these old notations. And then I found, lo and behold, 19th century dance notation, and then 20th century films. So I kept using different skills until, lo and behold, I'd researched 500 years of social dance. I started out with theatrical and moved into social because there are no laws. You can use whatever it is you want. If you're using theatrical dance, you have to pay somebody for the rights. Social dance, they're our rights. So anyway, I built a nonprofit dance organization in my 40s and 50s, more or less. And we ended up touring the country under Columbia Artists. So I basically achieved what I wanted to. And then at about age 55, I sort of had it. I explored the dances I wanted to explore. I brought this company to a very high point, and then I got bored. So, and then something bad happened in the company and I retired. And that was all very interesting story that has nothing to do with this. So moving on. Anyway, so then at age 55, it was like, well, what am I going to do when I grow up? Well, I had never learned to type because in my day, you either learned to type to be a secretary or else you were taken care of by some man. And I was taught to be taken care of by some man, which wasn't exactly my choice in life, but that was how I was brought up. But certainly not to be a secretary. So I never learned how to type. So there I was at age 55, doing Mavis something or other. I mean, you learn it. It was computers were just beginning. And I had a 16-year-old computer tutor. That's how I learned it. I remember this kid who just thought the computer was the most exciting thing in the world. He translated that to me and he'd come and go, look at this, Carol. And I got all excited about the computers. I learned to move all my fingers around. Mavis Beacon. Mavis Beacon is a very popular do-it-yourself, learn to type. So I learned to type. I'm not great, but I'm, perfectly fine. And then I thought, well, maybe I want to go into sculpture or something. Well, I can't earn money doing that now. Let me see, how badly do we need the two incomes now? The children were in college. And I thought, wait, if I go into sculpture, which I absolutely love, then I'd have to get all of this clay and the house, and I'd have all these things, but I really want to move around. I want to be free. So I got more into computers because computers go around with you.
Yeah.
And I had created a program, 500 Years of Social Dance was the program, and I wanted it to be videoed because I felt it was very important for humanity. I still feel it's important to humanity. A lot of lessons in it beyond this dance step and that dance step, which is relatively unimportant. You need to have it in order to tell the story. Right. But it's not the point. The point is watching our civilization, the social interaction of our civilization change. Anyway, so I decided that I would produce dance history videos like mine. What's wrong with that? And then somebody told me, and do you have the music rights? I said, I only have 60 pieces of music. Do I have to worry about music rights? What? And then I was told that I would be sued out of house and home if I didn't get the rights to the Beatles and this, and other little details that were. I chose all the top music throughout 5 centuries, of course. And that led to 2 years and $40,000. And I was really, that's another saga that I won't tell. And in the end, I got them out there. I got the rights, and I earned my money back within 6 months. And then somebody from the South, it was so funny, from a Civil War reenactment. That's, I'm telling you, I sort of oozed from one thing to another. Civil War reenactment, and said, well, our ladies have nothing to do on Saturday nights, and we'd like to do some of these dances. We can't afford to bring you down here. Do you think that you could do a video of the Civil War dances? And I thought, oh my God, I teach those. I can teach them, my eyes closed. I could do a video with 2 dancers and no rights with a pianist. I mean, I could do this sleeping. So I did it sleeping, in effect, and it sold. I thought, oh, wow, I'll do this with ragtime. Oh, wow, that sold. I'll do this about, well, suddenly, in the end, I had 22 videos that I.
Wow, that's amazing.
Via this, that, and the next thing. And I had a woman I had what I called my retirement business. Where I earned very nicely because I had a really good PR person and I did it to the education community and nobody else had done what I had done. And so that got me from 55 to 65, more or less, give or take. It was really longer. It lasted until about 70 something. Anyway, in the meantime, our house empty of children. We had 2 children. I referred it to a mausoleum of the past. And in the year 2000, it was a great, it had a big dance studio with no dancers and 2 big extra bedrooms with no children. And, like, what am I doing here anyway? And we were in the year 2000, we discussed with a friend that we really wanted to go to Europe. So did the friend. It was a relative. And so we all made a pact, 2000, we're going to go to Europe. I'd been there many times, and we're going to live there or whatever it is. So it took us 4 years. My husband and I cleared out our house and 90% of the belongings until we had a little teeny thing. We'd sold the house, which was our main part of our money, and headed off to Europe with overnight bags.
Wow, how exciting.
And we had nothing. We had no home. Our name in France was Teten, because my husband came from France. And our name in America was Teten. And our address was in France was whatever friend, and the address in America was a son. And so when people would meet us en route, they'd say, and what's your name? Where do you come from? And I'm going, duh, I have to think about which one I'm referring to. Anyway, so we had big suitcases in New York where I had family, and my husband, we had big suitcases in Paris where he had family, but we traveled around with an overnight bag for 4 years, homeless.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was 65 to 69. My husband was 75 to 79. It was great. Oh, how I recommend that. If you're going to retire, just give it all. I mean, I didn't know how much I was going to live. And of course, the following year, the house would have been worth another $1 million or something crazy because it was the Bay Area. What did I know? But on the other hand, we had a really, 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 really great time. And after 4 years of traveling, our son said to us, Mom and Dad, when are you going to grow up and settle down? Can you imagine? So anyway, we decided we had our options, and we decided we would move from California where we had been, and we'd saved a few little things, and nothing electronic, because we thought we would live in Paris, which we did try during the 4 years, and we didn't because of whatever reason. That doesn't apply here now. And so we moved to New York, and we moved into a 1-bedroom, and I have to say, at those precious little 5% of those things that I had saved 4 years ago that I couldn't possibly get rid of, they arrived in the middle of our apartment, 4 years later, and I pick up X, and I'm saying, why did I think this was so important? Out. And I picked up out of the 5% of my precious things, at least 30% of that went. After saving it and shipping it and whatever, which just shows you about how people get so attached to things. It's crazy, totally crazy.
Yeah, emotional attachment. Yep.
So anyway, that was that. And then I had tried in France as part of our 4 years to have French friends and live a Parisian style. And it's a lot of work to change location when you're older. I only recommend it for the hardy. It's just really difficult. I don't say you shouldn't do it. I'm thrilled I did it. I'm so thrilled I don't live in California now. You can't even imagine.
Yes.
A lot of work. But 1 year later, I was doing the same thing in New York, and I had like 5 people I knew, or 5 couples or whatever, and thinking, well, if I see each one once a week, I'll have a social life. Well, the fact is I know exactly which 5 people they are, and I see them once a year, maybe. That New York life isn't like that. And yeah, it all changes. So it took a year or so just to get used to the grocery store and the basics of maneuvering around. And one day I was walking down subway stairs, which is totally normal. And I'm 69, 70 at that point, 69, I guess. And I fell down the stairs. But because I had been trained in modern dance, I curled myself up and fell down the stairs. So I did not ruin. I could have fractured something. I didn't fracture anything. And I thought, balance is the thing. Yeah. I'm going to take ballet because I knew of a woman who was older than I was, who was taking ballet. I'd taken ballet maybe for a year when I was young. I was a modern dancer.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
I had a very sketchy background in ballet. Anyway, so I went into a ballet class because she had done it. I thought, she can do it, I can do it. Right. And I remember going to steps into Robert Atwood's class and looking up at the door of this little studio and saying, well, they don't say if you're over 50, you can't come in. So I guess I can come in. I remember doing that. And I remember hiding behind the poles, which of course thinner than I am, hoping he wouldn't notice me. And so I started once a week, then it went twice a week, and got, then it was 6 times a week. And I got totally addicted to it, in the whole dance world of older people dancing and younger people dancing in the mix. I just thought it was the cat's meow. So suddenly dance in another guise became the center of my life. And then as I was going through life more, my husband got dementia, and I had a big hole in my life. And I looked at SCORE by chance. I was looking at ways to do volunteer work, and I had a few dead ends. And SCORE is run by the federal government, and it's people who have owned businesses who help younger people develop or start or whatever businesses. And my background was in the arts and nonprofits mainly. I had started a nonprofit and for-profit. Well, there's hardly anybody else like me. Arts and business don't go together.
Right.
And I was, so the guy took me out to go through training. And just as COVID hit, I was a SCORE volunteer mentor.
Congratulations.
And, yes, it was, I didn't realize what an achievement it was. It was an achievement. So there I am on Zoom, the brand new thing that everybody was experiencing since it was the pandemic. My husband had just died. I mean, it was like a whole new life yet again. And I am now one of the top mentors in terms of how much I have clients in the New York SCORE. I don't mean that in terms that I'm more brilliant than anybody else. I just am more busy than many other people. And so it's been, I have stories about clients up a kazoo that will make people laugh, till their belly hurts. So, and now I'm helping to find new mentors. I mean, it's become a whole nother world. And then physically, I supplemented ballet because I needed a hip operation, and I now have added Pilates and swimming and yoga and other things. So my day is divided into 3. I'm 83. My day is divided into 3. The first part, I'm taking care of my body. The middle part is I'm taking care of helping other people. And the final part of the day, as much as possible, I go to some form of theater or movies or see friends or do something that's social out there in the world. All of it is social because I don't like being alone. And I'm expanding my world all the time. And finally, what I want to say is that what I notice with older people is most people have their little hutch in the world. They're looking backward.
Yeah.
They want to stay in their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And what if nothing else, what I'm trying to say with that whole long saga is that it's really important to keep opening new doors. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, Carol, you're so inspiring. I love your story. How do you have the courage to expand your world? Just what you were talking about. How do you approach that? And I think that would be so helpful for people. As COVID has taken away relationships and communities, and as people, the loneliness factor has set in, and we know that from a science point of view, how do you have this incredible appetite for expansion?
Because I don't want to contract. Not doing something is harder than doing something. There are many times when I'm reaching beyond myself, which is even going to that ballet class and standing behind poles that are, a third my width.
Yeah, right.
In which I'm really scared. And I just say to myself, okay, you're going to get over this. I remember the first time I tried to date after my husband was sick, and I remember meeting some guy at some place, and I remember getting to the doorway of the place and breathing really heavily. I mean, I hadn't dated in over 50 years. I was breathing really, really heavily and saying, okay, Carol, Like, like going to meet a man, I can say hello, you can do this too, it's sort of like I just pull myself together. And the bottom line is, if you don't do that thing, you're not going to fall in a swamp and kill yourself. You just aren't going to expand your life.
Mhm.
The downside is really nothing, and the upside is a lot.
Yeah, I love that. Downside is nothing, the upside is a lot. That's just words of gold. Absolutely. If you were to take, because I know you're so active mentally and physically for health, because we concentrate a lot on health, and you so beautifully articulated your day. But if you were to say what has been one of the most impactful things for your health that you're doing currently, what would that be, and why? Why is it at this point in time?
Okay, well, first of all, doing whatever it is that you love. That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that having worked out in dance, which I love by myself,
Mm-hmm.
having worked out in dance on Zoom, which I did over the pandemic, and having worked in class, to me, there is no substitute but to do whatever it is you're doing with people. I think that's really important. And actually, I have some friends who are physically active, but they're physically active either by training themselves, so they're on their little teeny routine that they repeat day after day, and century after century, or there are people who will walk out by themselves and they'll walk. It's wonderful that they're walking.
Right.
It's not that interaction and growing in the same way when somebody on the outside is saying, stretch yourself more here, or work harder there, or whatever. You've got to keep buttressing yourself up against somebody who's yelling at you or speaking to you or whatever, saying you have to try a little harder. Being with people, I think, is, one of the perils of aging is not being with people. And there was a man, he was actually a ballroom teacher when I was learning whatever I was learning. I was into Latin dances at that moment. And he said to me that I've quoted many times, and it's such a really deep statement. He said, when you're young, you walk in crowds. When you're middle-aged, you walk in couples. When you're old, you walk alone. I just thought that was brilliant. So I think we, getting older, have to work really hard to keep a community or enter new communities or whatever. It's kind of easy to retreat because our tastes have become so refined. And I don't like this person because their pimple isn't on the right side of their nose, or, whatever it is that we come up with. And so learning to be enthralled with people is important.
So wisely said, Carol. I love that. I think the sense of community, and also I know you and I are together sometimes in class, and just to be inspired by
I come to you.
Yes. I come to you too. So, but I think it's about moving as a group, right? And moving because we're inspired by our teacher and those that are professionals, right? That we can, oh wow, that's the way it's supposed to look. Now let's try this, So it's very I think it's in continuous improvement, irregardless of where we are at the moment in ourselves, to find that moment where you can really find something to work on. I think it's an exercise, not only mentally, but physically and spiritually as well. That's why I love the community aspect of dancing. And most dancers, true dancers, are very encouraging to each other because they want the best for everybody, be it in Latin dance or ballroom dancing or classical ballet or modern. I think that's sort of an overarching, the real professionals, I really believe, are like that. Very cool. Thank you so much for sharing that, Carol. That's just really poignant. Tell us to date, and I know you're ever evolving, but tell us to date, what are some of the most magnificent experiences that you've had that really stand out in your personal life, your journey of life? And in your expansion, certainly, too. Okay, tell us, please.
One is the years that I built my nonprofit, Dance Through Time. It was so difficult and so impossible. And so I felt as though people were trying to draw milk out of my breast when there was no milk to give, raising money and making the impossible happen. And the pride that I have and the joy that I have from making the impossible happen was, and I was bringing up 2 children at that time. It was really, I'm so thrilled I did it. I can't believe I did it. Somebody had told me when I was 25, you're going to do this, I would go laugh them to Timbuktu. That was that. And then when we traveled for 4 years as mature individuals with no program, no luggage, and no responsibilities, none. We had no mortgage. We had no insurance. We were free. We were really free. And we could get up. I always had a program that I knew we were going to be in Northern Europe in summer and Southern Europe and whatever. And if we wanted to stay 3 days here and 2 days there, it didn't, in a month here, it was like, oh, well, let's do this today. And every single day, we were somewhere where we could explore something new. That's a gift. That is a gift. And I think there's only 2 times in life when people can do this. One is in their early 20s before they've started a family. And the other is somewhere in their 60s, give or take, when they are retired and before they start getting crippled.
Wow, yeah, I agree. Those are good sweet spots in the decades, right? Those are good sweet spots. So any parting words for those business experts who?
I've actually written a book on my life. If anybody's interested, I can give you the information and you can put it wherever you want to put it.
Yes, if you give me the information offline, I will put it in the notes of the show. So thank you. So everyone, those listening now or in the replay, to take a look at that for Carol as well. Yes.
Yes, the parting words is I get very angry with my friends who keep talking about the past. And they reference everything to the past. I think that at all eras, you have to reference the present and the future. That's it.
So audience, you've heard it here today from Carol to reference the present and the future. We thank you so very much, Carol, for participating in the Art of Healthy Retirement. And I know this podcast will make a significant contribution to those listening. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for coming and sharing today, Carol. And I'll see you Saturday for sure.
I look forward to it. Great. Wonderful.